My son is a killer, William. Never trust your father. Elizabeth revealed the biggest secret of her 96-year life just hours before her death. Who was Diana's real killer, and why was William the next target? September 8, 2022, Balmoral Castle, 9:15 a.m. Queen Elizabeth was struggling to breathe as she woke up. The 96-year-old queen realized that the heaviness she had felt since the night was now crushing her chest. When she tried to sit up in bed, her head spun and she fell back onto the pillow. Angela. She tried to call to her personal dresser, Angela Kelly, but her voice came out no more than a whisper. Angela entered the room at 9:30, as usual. When she found Elizabeth pale and breathless, she immediately rushed to her side. Ma'am, are you all right? Elizabeth forced her eyes open. Angela, doctor. Call the doctor. Angela immediately called royal physician, Dr. Douglas Glass. Doctor, you need to come urgently. Her Majesty looks very bad. Dr. Glass was at Balmoral within 10 minutes. After examining Elizabeth, the concern on his face increased. Ma'am, your heart rate is very low. You're having difficulty breathing. I recommend going to the hospital. Elizabeth weakly shook her head. No, Douglas. I'll stay here. I want to die at Balmoral. Ma'am? No discussion, Douglas. How much time do I have? Dr. Glass hesitated. Hours, ma'am. Maybe less. Elizabeth closed her eyes and thought deeply. Where is my family? Prince Charles is at Dumfries House. Prince William is at Windsor. I can notify them immediately. Not yet. First I need to make some arrangements. Elizabeth moved very slowly and with difficulty that morning, but her mind was still sharp, her decisions clear. She had Angela write a note. Call Sir Edward Young, urgent. He should come alone. At 11 a.m., Private Secretary Sir Edward Young arrived at Balmoral. He found Elizabeth in bed, quite weak but awake. Edward, sit. What we're going to discuss is very important. Of course, ma'am. How are you feeling? I'm dying, Edward. We both know this, so I'm going to give some instructions. Edward took out his notebook. First, call Prince William. He should come alone. Charles shouldn't come. Harry shouldn't come. Only William. This must be kept absolutely confidential. Ma'am, Prince Charles will want to see you. Charles can come after I need to speak with William first. I have a very private matter. Understood, ma'am. Anything else? Elizabeth thought for a long time. I'm leaving the safe in my study to William. I'll tell him the combination. Charles won't have access. Ma'am, this is unusual. These are unusual times, Edward. Normal protocol won't work. Edward looked worried. Ma'am, perhaps you should rest. Edward! Elizabeth raised her voice powerfully one last time. I've lived 96 years. I've served 70 years as queen. You will implement my final instructions without question. Of course, ma'am. I'll call Prince William immediately. After Edward left the room, Elizabeth was alone. She looked out the window at Balmoral's green lands. This land was where she found peace. But now, instead of peace, there was a heavy sense of guilt. At 12:30 p.m., Dr. Glass checked again. Elizabeth's condition was worsening. Ma'am, your breathing is becoming more difficult. We need to put on an oxygen mask. Not yet, Douglas. I need a little more time. I need to hold on until William arrives. Ma'am, this is very risky. Douglas, I'm 96 years old. It's too late to worry about risk. At 1 p.m. in the afternoon, as Elizabeth breathed heavily, the last day she had spoken with Diana came alive in her mind. 1997, Balmoral. Diana had been very angry, very tired. Your Majesty, Diana had said, This family will kill me, or I'll kill myself. Diana, you're exaggerating, Elizabeth had replied. Am I exaggerating? Charles is driving me crazy. The media is devouring me, and you never support me. Diana, being part of the royal family isn't easy. Being part of the royal family shouldn't be this cruel. As that conversation played in Elizabeth's mind, another memory came. Charles's terrible conversation from 1997. Mother, Diana must go. I can't stand it anymore. I want to marry Camilla. But this isn't possible while Diana exists. Charles, Diana is the mother of your children. Diana is ruining the children's lives too. William and Harry can't have normal lives because of Diana's dramas. What do you suggest? A solution must be found, a permanent solution. Elizabeth hadn't fully understood what Charles meant at the time, or she hadn't wanted to understand. At 2 p.m., Angela entered the room again. Ma'am, would you like to eat something? Elizabeth shook her head. Just tea, Angela. And a few more pillows. I can't breathe. Angela helped Elizabeth into a more upright position. During this, Elizabeth held Angela's hand. Angela, I want to tell you something. Of course, ma'am. I loved Diana. I really loved her. But I couldn't protect her. Angela was surprised. Elizabeth usually didn't speak this personally. Ma'am, Princess Diana was very special. Angela, if we had looked after her, if we had protected her, maybe. Elizabeth couldn't complete her sentence. Tears gathered in her eyes. At 2:15 p.m., Edward Young came again. Ma'am, I spoke with Prince William. He's coming by helicopter. He'll be here in about 2 hours. Good. What did you tell Charles? I said Her Majesty wanted to rest, that she would see him later. Perfect, Edward. When William arrives, you'll leave us alone. No one will be in the room. Ma'am, the doctor? The doctor won't be there either. Just William and me. Edward hesitated. Ma'am, if something happens... Edward, these are my final wishes. Please. At 3 p.m., Elizabeth's breathing became even more difficult. Dr. Glass was worried. Ma'am, we absolutely must give oxygen now. Douglas, do I have just 1 more hour? Ma'am, just yes or no? Yes, ma'am, but you're struggling very much. Then I'll hold on. Elizabeth closed her eyes and remembered Diana's wedding day, 1981. That radiant young woman, full of hope. When she married Charles at St. Paul's Cathedral, she had enchanted the world. We had promised to protect her, Elizabeth murmured to herself. Pardon, ma'am? Angela asked. Nothing, Angela. Old memories. At 3:30 p.m., Elizabeth was reliving that terrible 1997 meeting in her mind. The private lounge at Balmoral herself, Philip, and Charles. Mother, if Diana marries Dodi, it will be a disaster, Charles had said. Why would it be a disaster? Elizabeth had asked. Because Dodi is Muslim. Diana marrying a Muslim would drag the royal family into scandal. Diana is no longer a member of the royal family, but she's William and Harry's mother. These children having a Muslim stepfather is unacceptable. Philip had intervened then. Charles is right. Diana has gotten out of control. She needs to be stopped. How will she be stopped? Elizabeth had asked. Philip and Charles had looked at each other. Then Charles had answered, There are permanent solutions, Mother. Elizabeth hadn't fully understood at that moment. What do you mean? Solutions that will ensure Diana can no longer harm the royal family. Charles, what are you saying? Charles had spoken plainly. Diana needs to disappear completely. Elizabeth had been shocked. Charles! Mother, do you think we have another choice? Diana is ruining everyone. She's ruining me. She's ruining the royal family. Philip had also agreed. Elizabeth, sometimes tough decisions need to be made. Diana continuing to live will finish all of us. Elizabeth had said, "I'll think about it" that day. But a week later, Charles had come again and explained the plans in detail. Now, 25 years later, the weight of that decision was crushing her chest. At 4:30 p.m., the sound of a helicopter came from the distance. William was coming. Elizabeth looked in the mirror one last time. Pale, old, about to die. But she had one last duty to perform. At 4:45 p.m., William entered the room. When he saw Elizabeth, he was shocked. His grandmother looked very bad. "Grandmother, how are you?" Elizabeth tried to smile. "I'm dying, William, but that's not very important. You came. That's important." William sat beside his grandmother. "What happened to you? So sudden?" "William, my age caught up with me. 96 years isn't easy, but I gathered my last strength to talk with you." "With me? Why?" Elizabeth tried to take a deep breath. "Because I have to tell you terrible things, but you need to know." "What kind of things, grandmother?" Elizabeth took William's hand. "William, you're in danger, great danger, and I need to protect you." "In danger? What do you mean?" "Diana, William. It all started with Diana." William's heart raced. "What about Diana, grandmother? She's already—" "Diana was murdered." "William." Elizabeth cut him off. "It wasn't an accident. We had her killed deliberately." William froze. What are you saying?" "We had Diana killed William, me, Philip, and your father, Charles." William jumped up. "This can't be possible! Do you know what you're saying?" Elizabeth was struggling to speak now. "William, listen to me. I don't have much time. Diana's death was a murder." "Who did it? Who killed her?" "We did it, William. The royal family did it." William began pacing around the room. "This is madness. Why would you do such a thing?" "Because Diana couldn't be controlled, Charles wanted to get rid of her. He wanted to marry Camilla." "And you allowed this?" Elizabeth began to cry. "My biggest mistake, William. The greatest sin of my life." "How did you do it? How did you organize it?" "Charles planned it. Philip arranged the details. I approved it." William turned to his grandmother. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because Charles will now target you. William, you're like Diana. The people love you. Charles is afraid of this." "Is my father going to try to kill me?" "I don't know, William, but it's possible he killed Diana. He could kill you too." Elizabeth spoke with her last strength. "William, never trust your father. Never. He's a killer." "How is this possible, grandmother? How could my father kill my mother?" "Charles hated Diana, William. Diana made him look small. The people loved Diana more." Elizabeth coughed and blood came. But she continued. "William, there's evidence in the safe in my study. Orders Charles signed, details of the plans." "Which safe, grandmother?" "The secret safe behind the wall clock. The combination is Diana's birth date." William was in shock. "Did my father really have my mother killed?" "He didn't just have her killed, William. Charles planned, organized, gave the orders." Elizabeth was struggling very much now. Her breath was cutting off. Her eyes were closing. "William, promise me." "What, grandmother?" "Protect yourself from Charles. Protect Catherine. Protect the children. I promise. And William, get revenge for Diana. She was innocent. Charles is the killer." Elizabeth's hand slipped from William's hand. Her eyes were closing. "I love you, William. Diana loves you too. She's watching over you." At 6:30 p.m., Queen Elizabeth II passed away. Her last words were, "Never trust your father. He's a killer." William stayed by his grandmother's side until her last breath. But now everything had changed. His father, Charles, was Diana's killer. And if Elizabeth was right, now it was his turn. William stayed at Balmoral that night, but didn't sleep a wink. His grandmother's words kept spinning in his head. "My son is a killer, William. Never trust your father." The next morning, September 9th, 2022, William woke up early. Silence reigned at Balmoral. His grandmother's death hadn't been officially announced yet, but the staff knew everything. As William walked through the corridors, everyone bowed to him respectfully. William went straight to Elizabeth's study. The door was locked, but he had the master key. When he entered, his grandmother's perfume still filled the room, as if Elizabeth had just stepped out for tea. He found the wall clock. Behind it was the secret button Elizabeth had mentioned. When he pressed it, the panel opened and the old iron safe appeared. William entered Diana's birth date with trembling hands. January 7th, 1961. The safe opened with a click. What he saw inside shattered William's world. Dozens of files, photographs, and documents. The top file read, "Operation Eliminate, Top Secret." When William opened the file, Charles's signature was on the first page. Authorization for permanent removal of subject Diana Spencer. Signed, Charles Philip Arthur George Windsor. Date, 15th August, 1997. William's hand trembled. His father had really signed Diana's death warrant. The second page contained details of the operation. Phase 1, isolation. Subject to be isolated from security detail. Phase 2, Paris. Setup. Henri Paul to be compromised. Paparazzi to be positioned. Phase 3, tunnel operation. Fatal accident to be staged in Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Phase 4, cover story. Natural accident narrative to be maintained. The third page had payment records. Henri Paul, £200,000 paparazzi team, £150,000. Hospital staff, £300,000. Total operation cost, £650,000. William found an audio recording from the bottom of the safe. It read, "Charles Planning Session, 10th of August, 1997. When he listened to the recording, he heard Charles's voice. "Mother, we need to get rid of Diana. This week, she's going to France with Dodie. Perfect opportunity." Elizabeth's voice. "Charles, are you sure? This is very risky. It will look like an accident. Henri Paul will be drunk. Paparazzi will chase. Accident will happen in the tunnel." Philip's voice. "We have control in the hospital, too. Diana won't be saved." And then, Elizabeth's voice. "Then I'll be free. I'll be able to marry Camilla. Diana's drama will end." When the recording ended, William examined the rest of the safe with shaking hands. Every document, every photo confirmed what his grandmother had said. His father was a killer. William gathered the documents and put them in his private bag. He would confront Charles with this evidence. At 10 a.m., his phone rang. Charles was calling. "William, you left very early this morning." "I needed some fresh air, Father. Our grandmother's death has shaken all of us. We should grieve together." William tried to suppress the irony in his voice. "Of course, Father. Together." "William, we'll have important conversations. I'm now king. You're Prince of Wales. We must cooperate." "Certainly, Father. We'll talk." After hanging up, William made his decision. He would confront Charles that evening. At 7 p.m. that evening, William went to Clarence's house. Charles met him in his study. "William, come, son, sit. Difficult days." William sat across from him. When he looked at Charles's face, he now saw a different person. The killer. "Father, I want to talk to you about Diana." Charles's face tensed. "Diana? Why now?" "Because grandmother died, and she told me some things." "What did she tell you?" William took out the death warrant Charles had signed from his bag and put it on the table. "She told me this." When Charles saw the document, he froze. "This. Where did this come from?" "From grandmother's safe." "Your signature is there, Diana's death warrant." Charles stood up. "William, this is a complex matter." "Complex?" William shouted. "You had my mother killed. How can this be complex?" "William, listen." "No, you listen." William took out the audio recording. "This is also the recording of your conversation. Let's listen to how you made the plan." When he played the recording, Charles heard his own voice. "We need to get rid of Diana. This week." Charles began to collapse. "William, those times were very difficult." "Difficult? Was having my mother killed the difficult part?" "Diana was ruining all of us. She was ruining me. I couldn't marry Camilla." "And so you killed her." Charles buried his face in his hands. I couldn't find another way." William stood up. "You're a killer, Father. You're my mother's killer." "William, please try to understand." "What should I try to understand? That my mother had to die?" Charles looked up angrily. "Diana couldn't be controlled. She was ruining us. She was ruining the royal family." "Diana's only crime was not loving you. Diana's crime was making me look small," Charles shouted. "The people loved her more than me. This was unbearable." William remembered his grandmother's words. Charles's ego couldn't stand Diana's popularity. "So what now, Father? Are you going to kill me too?" Charles was surprised. "What? No. Grandmother said I'm the same threat. The people love me. You're afraid of this." "William, you're my son. Diana was your wife, but you had her killed." Charles sat down and put his head in his hands. "William, I was under a lot of pressure at that time. Camilla, Diana, the media. Everything was very confused. That's no excuse." "I know." Charles began to cry. "I know I'm a killer. I see Diana every night." "Are you sorry?" "Of course I'm sorry, but I can't take it back." William took out all the documents from his bag. "What about these? The money paid to Henry Paul, Dr. Bribes, paparazzi planning?" Charles looked at the documents. "I organized all of it." "Why?" "Because Diana had to die, William. I couldn't get rid of her any other way." William looked with disgust. "You're a sick person." Charles stood up. "William, we need to close these matters now. I'm the king. You're the Prince of Wales. We must cooperate." "Cooperation? Should I cooperate with a killer?" "William, be careful, you're my son too. I can harm you as well." These words confirmed Elizabeth's warning. William stepped back. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm warning you. Don't discuss these matters with others." "What if I do?" Charles looked coldly. "You might have an accident, like Diana." William was shocked. Charles was really thinking of killing him too. "I understand, Father. The message is clear." "Good. Then give me these documents and let's close this matter." "No, Father. These documents will stay with me. Insurance." Charles turned red. "William, if you touch me, these documents go to the media. If you touch Camilla, they go to the media. If you touch Catherine, they go to the media." Charles looked helplessly. "You'll destroy me. You destroyed yourself the day you killed Diana." William gathered the documents and prepared to leave. "Father, one more thing. I'll increase charity work for Diana's memory, in her name. William, this is not up for discussion. Diana's legacy will live on." As William walked toward the door, Charles called out, "William, you be careful too. If you walk in Diana's path, you might find Diana's end." William stopped and turned. "I recorded this threat, Father. If something happens to me, the audio recording will go to the BBC." Charles's face turned pale. As William left Clarence House, only one thing was on his mind: getting revenge for Diana. In the car, he called Catherine. "Catherine, gather the children. We're leaving Windsor tonight." "William, what happened?" "I'll explain. Just take the children now and wait." "William, you're scaring me." "Catherine, we're in danger. We're in danger from Charles." That night, William moved to a secret location with his family. He now knew what Charles was capable of, and he began making plans to get revenge for Diana. Elizabeth's last words echoed in his ears. Get revenge for Diana, William. She was innocent. William would do this. He would risk everything for Diana to find justice. His father was a killer king, but William would stop him. For Diana's memory,